Something common that both a card game and Fire Emblem share are the player phase and the enemy phase. However, unlike traditional Fire Emblem titles, there are 5 different phases that you, the player, will have to do in order for you to properly play the game. The 5 different phases are Beginning Phase, Bond Phase, Deployment Phase, Action Phase, and End Phase. The beginning phase is exactly as it sounds. It's the start of your turn. If there are any card text that reads at the start of your turn, then the effects of those cards would activate here. All cards during this phase will also get untapped, meaning the resources that you've exhausted last turn are all available once more. You also get to draw a single card during this time unless stated otherwise by other effects.
Oh man, just when you thought a guy couldn't suck even more, he goes full idiot on you. Jay, how could you forget that the player going first can't draw a card or attack on his very first turn? I guess that's to be expected of you.
The next phase, Bond Phase, is actually completely optional, but it's recommended that you take advantage of this phase whenever possible. During this time, you have the ability to throw down a card from your hand into the Bond Zone. This phase will be utilized the most early on when you want to deploy as many units as you can, and later on the bonds will be used to activate certain skills that require you to have a certain number of bonds in the Bond Zone. This is where the phase names will start to make sense if you're a veteran of the Fire Emblem series. The next phase, Deployment Phase, is where the player can place as many units they want from their hand to the front or back line with however much your bonds permit you to do so. To deploy, make sure you have the appropriate amount of bonds available in your Bond Zone. You, however, cannot deploy the same unit. For example, I cannot have 2 Marths on my side of the board even if their art is different. Deploying a unit is also based on the color that are in the Bond Zones. For instance, I have a red Sheeta. I have the appropriate amount of bonds, but because I don't control a red bond, I cannot play this Sheeta. But if I do control a red bond, then I'm allowed to put Sheeta in whatever zone, front or back line.
Well, I guess you aren't wrong about this fact entirely, but you still suck, Jay. Anyways, time for a real grill master to teach these kids a thing or two about not sucking, so listen up. Certain promotions, like the overclass cards, and even cards like Wallheart, actually cost more to promote than to play straight up. But you would miss out on their powerful effects, like Overclass May, get it? God, I miss when card explanations were as simple as Pot of Greed, ugh.
The only types of cards that can break this specific rule are the colorless cards, generally portrayed with a gray and white border. These cards do not care about what colors are in the Bond Zone. During the deployment phase, you're allowed to class change a unit, aka promotion. If you use a promotion, the cost will be lowered and you can draw a card. You can still play class change units for their original cost, but you could lose out on certain effects, like the class change skills that activate upon promotion. The next phase that comes immediately after deployment is the action phase. If this was Fire Emblem gameplay, this would be where you actually play the game out. For this upcoming part, I want to mention that most of this information I'm going to write off the Serenus Forest since they already do a fantastic as hell job at explaining the phases. In the action phase, there are multiple things that you can do. First is to attack an enemy unit, which usually requires you to tap the unit. The next thing you can do is to move to a different area, front line to back line or vice versa. This also requires tapping the unit. You can also activate their skills if any can be activated, and sometimes they may require you to tap the unit. The last thing you can do is do nothing. You aren't actually required to do anything if you so choose. But in order to attack, you must tap a unit as explained above. A unit can only attack an enemy unit based on the unit's range and area position. I've explained this in an earlier video, so allow me to recap the ranges of the units. Range of 1. The unit can only attack a row directly in front of them. This is usually locked to classes that normally attack at one range in the main Fire Emblem games. Range of 2. The unit can only attack a row 2 spaces in front of them. These units can attack from your back line and can attack the enemy's front line. This is usually locked to classes with bows. Range of 1 and 2. These units have the most options to attack, as they can attack an enemy right in front of them or attack an enemy from a distance, from either the front or back line. This is usually locked to classes that use magic. Range of 3. The units can only attack the row 3 spaces ahead. Your 3 range unit can only attack the enemy backline from your own backline. Think of this like the longbow mechanic that are present in certain Fire Emblem games. I do want to note that there are some skills that allow units to attack from your backline to the enemy backline, even if they are not 3 ranged characters. When attacking, both players are going to get their supports out. To get your support, both players flip the top card of their deck and place it into the support area. If any support skills are revealed, the order of skill priority goes to the player attacking first, then the defending player, meaning your support skill activates first, and then your opponent's support skill activates second if there are any type of support skills. Each player's support is added onto the attack of the respecting attacking/defending units. The higher value is crowned the winner of the battle. But if a unit on the board gets a support featuring themselves, it is known as a self-support and will result in a failed support. So Crom may not be supported by another Crom, even if the titles are different. And if this happens, the support card is automatically sent to the retreat area, and the support value will not be added to the attacking or defending card, and any skills cannot be activated if there are any. Much like in the main games, critical hits make a comeback. After supports are added onto the attacking player may choose to perform a critical hit. You can do this by discarding a card with the same attacking unit's name. Just the unit's name must be the same, titles can differ. If they do so, then the attack of the attacking unit is doubled. Since this is added after the support is added on, you double the attacking value with the support, including any skills that would boost the unit's attack until the end of the battle phase. And just like how a player can perform a critical hit, the defending player can also perform an evasion. When the defending unit is about to be defeated, the player may now choose to perform an evade. This is done by discarding a card with the defending unit's name. Again, the same rules apply like a critical hit. If done correctly, then the current attack is nullified, and as a result of doing this, the battle automatically ends, and the next unit that hasn't performed an attack can attack, if any. After all of the above steps are completed, and assuming that the defending unit did not perform an evasion, the attacking unit's attack is compared to the defending unit's attack. One of two outcomes will occur. If the defending unit has higher attack, then nothing happens and both units are still on the field. Attacking units do not get defeated if they are not able to defeat an enemy unit and the attacking player is not punished for attacking. So it is wise to attack and get as many cards from the opponent into the retreat zone. If the attacking unit's attack is greater than or equal to the defending unit's attack, then the defending unit is defeated and as a result of the battle are sent to the retreat area if the unit is not the main lord of your deck. If the defeated unit is the main lord of your deck, instead of sending them to the retreat area, the defending player must take a card from their orb area and add it to their hand. If the defending player cannot take a card from their orb area because there aren't any cards left, then they lose the game. Finally, any skills that activate when the attacking unit defeats a unit in a battle, they also activate when the main lord is defeated and the opponent takes an orb from their orb zone, or when a character is defeated by an attack, these skills activate now. After these skills resolve, if any skills are able to activate, regardless of the outcome determined above, both players send their support cards they used for this battle to the retreat area. And finally, once all of the player units have completed an action, end phase begins. If there are any skills that specify that they activate in the end phase, they activate now. Once completed, the opponent's beginning phase begins and you would rinse and repeat the cycle until one player loses all of their orbs. I fully admit that the phases are, yes, a little confusing and perhaps the hardest part of the game to learn, but once you tackle this bit down, it's smooth sailing from here. In the next part, I'll be teaching you how to build a Fire Emblem Cipher deck, but until then, this has been JaeAIK, and I hope to see you guys till next time.